I'm going to read just a part of a few of the letters Jack Hartsfield sent to me, and he mailed them to me, mailed copies to me of letters he wrote to Salvador Vizzini, who was he was an FBI agent, and he wrote a book himself years and years ago, but he was transferred and became police chief in Huntsville, Alabama in 1980 when I was almost murdered. And I've told how they tried to do it and some of who was involved. And I ended up working for the district attorney, Fred Simpson, in Huntsville. That's the space industry. Jack was living in Newhall, California, or I forgot the other name of the town. Anyway, he had left Huntsville and he had gone out to Santa Fe, next door to Georgia O'Keeffe in Albuquerque, New Mexico. She's my aunt, who my mom is Claudia Ruth O'Keeffe, and who was married to my mom, the only one ever married to Edward VIII, and a double married Wallace Simpson. And I hope this, my father's name's cleared. I hope there's a lot more things that happen, and this is all told. I'm going to read just a little bit from what Jack said here, but not a lot. He says, I do remember, this is on March 24th, 2006, and as I say, he died last year, how sad. This man was a hero. As far as I know, he was such a gentleman and honest. I can't say enough about Jack, because there's so few, very few like him. And he sure didn't get his just reward. He came back to Huntsville, and he died there. And he'll never be known for the person he is. First of all, in '84, when Larry Flint furnished me a car, Hustler magazine. There's a lot more about that hasn't been told. Channel 7 here even saw his legs moving, which he's not supposed to. I'm not going to tell that. Channel 7 tried to get the film because they were trying to be destroyed across the state line, and they were destroyed. They were gotten and destroyed. That was back when Mr. Flint was here in the suit against, Jerry Falwell, Liberty University, had sued him because of the parody that appeared in Hustler magazine, and it was in federal court here, so that's when that happened. And, people hear what they want to hear, so I'm probably, I don't know. Anyway, this is Jack, and it's very sad because I stayed out there, I meant to say that, for about 2 weeks with him in '84. I was broke driving the car, a Larry Flint car, a Hustler car, it was leased. And all of this is what's wrong with this picture. And it's like a puzzle. And anyway, my Aunt Georgia lived next door in Albuquerque, but she had been, all her things had been taken over, and I can't remember his name now, but he ended up with everything. And the O'Keeffe family couldn't get near her anymore. And he's talking about, he says, I do remember back to some of the first meetings at Haystack Apartments, etc., and Warren House Apartments. That's when I worked for the district attorney in Huntsville, Alabama. And this is where Jack worked for the Huntsville Times, and it says much of the big picture went back to earlier when Sheriff Dave Hedrick or Bulldog Daniel, all the way back, would you believe, to before and during World War II. So I'm leaning forward and historically backward at the same time. That's really what I've been trying to do to get people to listen to it all, because it's one of the most important things. If you don't care about my kidnapping, you should care about the fact that mind control is so rampant now. Had it been stopped back then when Larry Flint was shot, when I was doing the book, it had gone far enough then, but it's been used and nobody will print it. The media won't. The media is the ones that need to be prosecuted too. I'm going to go on over to the next page if I can. He's talking about so to discredit me and later him. They try to destabilize your life and make you sound or appear to be a Looney Tune or nuts, etc. Well, people always knew better. It's at all possible psychologically and emotionally. I know the feeling too well. So I'm going to go down to here. After all, he's talking about Huntsville, and that's where I was taken to Moulton, Alabama when I was kidnapped in 41. And then Huntsville became the Space Center. That's when Dr. Werner von Braun was brought over. And the Space Center came to be in Huntsville. So I'm back there in 80. I'd written a book about mind control, and Larry Flint was one of them that was shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia, while I was doing the book. Later, I'm flown out there in late 83 in a campaign to replace the doctor that I'd written about, congressman that went down the plane. You may not know, but during that period of time when our paths crossed, Huntsville was considered the third most sensitive area in the nation where national security was concerned. After all, it was the guts of the U.S. space program and home of the anti-ballistic missile research projects, the location where every Army tactical missile system fielded anywhere in the free world was managed, where security leaks of sensitive nature were occurring far too often when the Army's missile and munitions center and school operated, and where 119 former Nazi rocket scientists practiced their trade, some still with connections to former cohorts deep into the Soviet Union in the Great Space Race, and where J. Edgar Hoover, FBI Division 5, a super-secret police agency, had operated since the early 40s. That's when they kidnapped and brought me over to Moulton. Okay? Huntsville's only about, at the most, 45 miles away. In fact, it was so sensitive that it didn't exist. With links to Daytona, Ohio, Washington, D.C., New Orleans, etc. Now then, let me see if if I can get something else on here. He's talking about if blackmail or payoff. Let's see. Oh, and sometimes the cloak of national security can be seriously abused, not to protect the nation's secrets, but to hide and bury blunders, even some very blurry conspiracies that made more than hinted of heavy criminal involvement in the defense contracting. So I'm going to jump down here. He's talking about MK Ultra, mind control, and still another program tied to the research efforts was called Psychotronics in the USA, formerly called Psychotectronics by the later defunct Soviet Union. Brainwave entrainment. So it goes on about that. They implant fear, lethargy, manic moods, etc., deep depression, but they can program you and seemingly paranoid. A gentleman named Nikola Tesla, who I've told about all this time, and the mind control, the files that were stolen in 30, was researching psychotronics as far back as 1930. The Soviet Union at one time wound up with most of the research after his death. That's not true. I've put that up. I don't know why Jack put that there, and I'm not trying to catch everything I've ever known. He told the truth. But no, that wasn't who ended up with it. In my judgment, you're one of those who was, well, I'm not going to put that. I know I was targeted. So down here, He says the FBI's Division 5 and assorted shenanigans were public. What would be the results if they were public? It would perhaps be very destabilizing for the nation as a whole. In Huntsville experiments, the agony of 1963, well, the agony of 63, I don't know why Jack put there. Jack was for me, and he certainly did his best. And he really did, and he hasn't gotten any of the honor that this man deserves. I ain't no public enemy, number one, he says. I recall being told of an individual who jocularly referred to me in Huntsville this way: the last thing we need is some red-blooded, all-American boy waving the flag and calling it like it is. Still, I keep trying. So one crazy to the other. If you tell the truth, especially if you're the Queen of England, you've been kidnapped. Now I want to put this down on here again. Wednesday, November the 26th of 97. It's the name Mike Dempsey here is one of them. It's cryptic. It's a way of sending messages. And these men, I hope they're alive. The Brits have paid a friggin' price. The hell they've gone through in trying to keep what is theirs. And I hope they get it back. Hook, line, and sinker. I love it. The name Dominic Young, Dave Kirby are very important to me. They mean something to me. And of course, Mike Dempsey is the name that they gave me when they brought me over here and stole my identity in 41. The Americans, JFK, the Kennedys, the Rockefellers, Rothschild, my own Uncle George VI, etc., Roosevelt. But here's the rest of that page. It says, last Saturday night, while Western Virginia TV news viewers were bedazzled as a Roanoker modeled one of the late Princess Diana's ball gowns at the Hotel Roanoke, that's fancy Roanoke, I can't even walk in, 3 men in Craig County displayed what they say is the original meaning of the phrase dressed to kill. These were there was no red carpet, limousines, bright lights, fans, nor formalities, as Dave, Mike, and Dominic sipped Irish whiskey without ice from a dollar store tumbler sitting in the yards. Sell furniture in the cinder block hunting camp of humble hearts.